Welcome to the Cross Counsel Podcast. We believe every person is created in the image of God, something we can never lose. Yet, over time, our likeness to Christ has been diminished and is in need of restoration. Each episode offers information that invites you toward transformation, leading to formation in Christ. But lasting change happens when you personally engage with our ministry and experience the melt process, where God renews the mind, heals the heart, and restores hope. Together, though none of us has arrived, we're discovering what it means to be fully alive in Him, immediate help, lasting hope, and changing generations. Welcome back to the Cross Counsel Podcast. I am so thrilled to have Lindsay Bonnar with us, who abandoned us in Wisconsin to go to Florida for warmer winters. I guess that was probably the only reason. But Lindsay, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
Do you miss us?
I was just telling people that I miss my people and my community like really, really, really bad. But
Oh,
the winter, and no, not even a little bit. That wasn't the sole reason that we moved.
of course. Yes. Yeah. We have ice. Yes, ice and snow and ice and snow. A lot of fun right now.
Yeah, it's gross there right now and gray.
So for those who don't know you, Lindsay, tell us a little bit about your family and like where you're at in life right now.
Oh my gosh, yes. So my family and I spent the last 20 years in Wisconsin. I got pretty radically saved when I was 29, and my husband came along a few years later. Had some kids, and just really kind of fell into a little nice community of awesome people there. Oh, my husband and I originally came from Wyoming. We got married in Wyoming and then moved to Wisconsin, and then the Lord kind of called us down south. We have a bunch of family here. So that's the very abbreviated version of our last, couple of decades.
I was just having lunch with a friend and mentioned winter camping. We stayed overnight the first night before we went up the mountain in Jackson Hole, and we winter camped in February of
Wonderful.
2000. Goodness, what was it? 2002 or 2003, something like that. So, been there. Yeah,
It's
it's beautiful.
amazing there. I just went there and visited with my sisters. We went to Yellowstone in May, just
Hmm.
this last May. It was pretty awesome.
Right. Yeah, for us to be in a place where we pull into the parking lot at the national park, I guess, and the ranger
Yeah.
said, "Where are you guys going?" Well, good luck with that because nobody goes up there in February. So to have the whole mountain to ourselves, it was incredible. So
I bet.
yeah,
I bet.
you spent some time in ministry. Your husband was a youth pastor.
Yeah. Yeah, he was a youth pastor at First Free for 4 or 5 years, 4 years, 5 years, something like that. And then he
Hmm.
went to Kicking Bear for
Okay.
another right around 4 years, I think 3 or 4 years there. So now Kicking Bear, I don't know if you're familiar with them. They're like an evangelical youth outreach, and
Hmm.
they use hunting and bows and arrows and stuff to just spread the gospel to kids. It's really kind of been a cool ministry to be part of for sure. And then I actually worked at Olivet Church in La Crosse for a year and a half there too in communications. And yeah, so there was a lot of ministry involvement on and off, just even on the side as far as our lives go. So
Hmm. And you're also a guru when it comes to physical fitness, right? I mean, didn't you help people leap buildings in a single bound, that kind of thing?
yeah, I spent 12 years running Eupraxia health and fitness centers in Wisconsin. I did, and that was a pretty radical move too. I'm born
Hmm.
only of the Lord. He told me to surrender my job, and I said no. You know, but then things got real uncomfortable. And a few months later, I was like, okay, fine, and I gave it up, and it ended up being a good decision for a lot of reasons. It was a hard decision, but a good one. So, but yeah, so I
Yeah.
did that, yeah, for 12 years. And then I took some time off, did some major like cortisol and adrenal healing
Mm.
and then spent about a year and a half working part-time at a church before we moved at Olivet, before we moved. Yeah, that's kind of how
So
that
I
works.
say that, yeah, miserable obedience is still obedience. You know, it's better to get to a place of freedom, but miserable is at least a start.
Yeah. It's sometimes, yeah, I've learned, and that was actually kind of part of the reason, like when we made the move to Florida. Um, I remember after the whole gym thing, I was like, Lord, I don't want to hesitate next time, right? Like I don't want
Mm,
to hesitate. And when we made the decision to move to Florida, we originally were like, yeah, we'll give it a year. And then it was like there was just this like pressing things that kept coming up that it was like, no, you got to go now. Like now is the
mm,
time. And
mm,
so we came, and it's been crazy. Just since we moved here, we lived with my mother and my grandmother for a month before we got into our own home. And the deterioration that my mom is here to take care of, my 95-year-old grandmother, and she has just taken
mm,
this sudden, rapid deterioration. And
mm.
it was really like, I don't know. I just can't help but wonder. Like, I mean, if that reason alone is why God called us here, is to be there for my mom and my grandma during this really crazy season, then that's enough. So,
Wow, it's just interesting that you mentioned that kind of an obedience and response. Um, just somebody asked me because in our intros we use a couple different intros, but one of our intros talks about being fully alive in Christ and what that means. And when I was asked on the spot, I came up with a few things, but I'm like, you know what? I'm going to hammer this thing out a little bit more. And so this is still a work in progress, but I wrote, being fully alive in Christ means living from a settled identity in God's love, no longer driven
mhm.
by fear, approval, or self-protection. It looks like responding to conflict with peace, receiving feedback without collapse or defensiveness, forgiving freely and acting with courage and clarity, caring deeply about people without being controlled by their opinions.
Hmm.
That's a start,
Wow.
I
Yeah,
guess.
that's good. Oh,
Yeah.
that's good.
So I might have to rewind that. Okay, good.
Yeah,
All
just
right.
tell yourself that
So,
over and over.
right. Well, we're not doing this podcast for people to hear me. I want to hear you.
Right.
Um, so before we get into the specifics, how long has cross counsel been a part of your story?
Right around the time I was leaving the gym. So
Hmm.
3-ish years, probably. Right. It was all
Okay.
kind of right around in there.
We've just had a couple sessions ourselves, but I
Yeah.
love that because of what we do, it's not like, oh, I have to build my history again with this counselor. I mean, there's a little bit of that, but it's what does
Mhm.
God want to do in your heart right now? How are you responding to the triggers in your life, the things that he's exposing in your life? And we don't necessarily need a whole lot of history. It's let's follow that emotion. Let's see where you go and see what God has for you as you dive into that melt process and identify those
Yeah,
things that only Jesus can heal. So, yeah,
absolutely.
yeah. So before cross counsel, what was your experience with counseling and like in what
Oh my
places did you
gosh.
feel stuck?
Oh my gosh, I feel like I've dabbled in like just traditional counseling on and off for a long time. I've,
Hmm.
dragged your husband to marriage counseling kind of thing, but I had been taking myself, yeah, so that'd be about right. It was right around COVID when I
Yeah.
started traditional counseling. So that would be right then, about 3 or 4 years of cross counsel. So yeah, I'd spent about a year very steady in traditional counseling.
Hmm.
Just due for like I was having like kind of anxiety attacks and just not really liking kind of where I was going with my life. And like you said, your responses and reactions, which is a large driver again in like quitting the gym job, because working full time and doing the mom thing is very hard. And I was really burning myself out in a lot of ways. Just wanting to be more open to even like Christian counseling was a big move for me too, to like make
Hmm.
that switch and involve prayer. I thought that would be like the magic bullet. And I feel like it's kind of like you said, you don't need to know the backstory to hit what Jesus wants to hit. So all
Hmm.
this time we spend hashing out this backstory, it gives you like it's almost like a dopamine release, right? Like yum, okay, somebody hears me and validates me,
Hmm.
but nothing actually gets fixed from talking it out. Like so I would feel like okay, I'd be okay, but then what do I do? And then I keep hitting like, well, what's next? What's next? What's next? What's next? And there was never an end game for me
Hmm.
with
Right.
traditional counseling. I didn't feel like I was getting better, like long term. It was very temporary.
Right. If you've got somebody who is decent at their therapy or their counseling, not that we call ourselves therapists or counselors, but
Yeah.
somebody who listens well, I think you can even say that if somebody listens to you well, they're loving you well to a certain
Yes.
extent. And who doesn't want to be loved well? So I think there is value in that, but exactly what you
Hmm.
said, it's okay. Well, I felt heard, I felt maybe even loved or cared for, but
Hmm.
does that change anything in my heart? Maybe there's a
Right.
little bit of a shift here and there, but to be transformed by the renewing of your mind,
Hmm.
that is that's our lane at Cross Council, because
Hmm.
people say that even if they do feel relief, and I think you've mentioned this too, the relief just doesn't last. It doesn't go anywhere. So
Hmm.
I think you also mentioned that, and it's your story is not unusual. The first couple cross council sessions that you had, maybe it didn't
Hmm.
feel great. What do you think was going on there in those first couple sessions with us?
I don't know. I always kind of like think about the line from Shrek when he talks about, oh, because I like onions and you have to peel the layers away,
Hmm.
and like all the layers. So I kind of think about it like that. I think about like, okay, so maybe that was just a crusty outer layer, you know, like that needed to be peeled away before we can get at that really thick one to like, keep
Right.
going. So I mean, I guess now but that's more of like a hindsight reflection. In the moment, I was just like, I don't know. I always feel like you can never get a feel for something from one time. You can't get a feel for like a new church the first time you go. You can't get a feel for like even like the gym, you can't
Hmm.
we always gave away a free week because one workout is never going to give you a feel for the place kind of thing. So I thought,
Right.
okay, I'm going to give this 3 sessions. That was kind of what I remember
Hmm.
telling myself is
Okay.
sometimes going to give this 3 sessions. And I'm not sure what I would have done if that third session hadn't rocked my world a little bit, but the
Mm.
Lord is kind. So it's kind of my fleece, I guess. But yeah, but I left, I remember leaving kind of frustrated, like, like it just kind of picked at a wound and left it
Hmm.
open a little bit.
Hmm.
But I was glad I persisted and went through to that. So,
Right. And your hindsight can be helpful for people who are thinking about stepping in. Like, okay, I kind of come from the perspective of William Carey, who was the missionary to China, or was it India? Sorry, I don't have that prepped. But he said,
mhm.
attempt great things for God, expect great things from God.
Mm,
I think in one session, people have had life-changing moments in their session the first time. But I think there's something to be said for managing expectations.
mhm,
And we were actually just talking in a staff meeting today, because now we're not even saying three, we're saying five, but it's
mhm,
really what we would want for people is to like fully engage, become a part of our community,
mhm,
do more of the classes. And we need to do a better job of giving people homework just to keep their mindset on where am I being triggered? What am I noticing?
mhm.
Where should I be paying more attention to where my buttons are being pushed, where God is leading, so many different things. So I think that's really helpful for you to share that third session was the one that kind of put you over the top into, wow, the Lord is in this
Yeah,
thing. And if I just keep on
yeah,
going. So yeah, making space for Jesus to do things. Yeah. It's
yeah. And it really is like trying not like you try to force it, right? Like you're like, what
mhm,
should I be doing in this moment? And you can't do that. Like you have to get out of your head for sure.
mhm.
Trying to drive the process. I'm a recovering control freak for sure, so I always like to try to drive.
Right. And so the antidote to being a control freak, I think we're all control freaks to one extent or another, and it takes
Yeah.
different shape for different people. But
Hmm.
again, I keep on bringing this up. Perfect love drives out fear,
Hmm.
because
Hmm.
control is a need to control. We're trying to control our fear.
Hmm.
That's what we're trying to do. We don't like feeling vulnerable, and fear and shame are huge drivers in that vulnerability. And I would rather feel in control, even if I'm doing damage. Like you can almost have this out of body experience. I shouldn't be doing this, but it's better than me feeling like I'm going to be a wreck or I'm going to be in danger somehow. The threat
Yeah,
level that's not logical, but it's in our heart. So, yeah,
yeah, I get
yeah.
that.
So,
Hmm.
I didn't even look up your history. We do. Was I the first person that you met with, or do you even remember how
No,
that went?
Carol.
Okay.
Carol was the first person I met with.
Okay. And so as she helped you step into the process,
Yeah.
what was key for you as you met with Carol?
I think having somebody to keep me focused and on track and like
Hmm.
to like not spiral and follow my own thoughts and to
Right.
kind of keep me squirrel,
Yeah, for
I
sure.
keeps you a little more focused and just guide
Hmm.
you where and even like the extra insight, like
Mm,
into, because, we always hear the voices in our head, right? You always have your voice, you have God's voice, you have the voice of the enemy, and they all sound like your
mhm,
voice in the end. You have to look for the
mhm,
subtle nuances, and to
mm,
have that extra person there to kind of help you decipher through that sometimes, especially when you're talking or thinking and drawing on things that are uncomfortable. And having that person there to kind of keep you guided and have that extra discernment in the room. It was just that is what's helpful for me. Like, or if I get even like now trying to like pray through certain things or moments or memories, I've gotten stuck before and called Carol or my friend Jane,
mm,
or something
mhm,
like that. I am so stuck. Like, I need somebody to
mhm.
help guide me through this, and they just extra questions. I'm talking a lot, but there's a lot of reasons why I
Oh,
find
yeah.
value in that. Yeah, just the guidance, and yeah, just
Yeah.
priceless. So.
Right. I think the guide rails, right? So,
Yeah.
because one of the phrases that I use in sessions on a regular basis is, now I'm just trying to help, or I'm trying to follow you, or I'm trying to do my job. So, because there's all these different bunny trails people could go down, and
Hmm.
maybe those bunny trails are really significant, but if this is what this person wants to address in this session, though it can be steered in different ways, okay, let's just kind of bring this back into where you were headed. And I think that's
Yes.
just so helpful. It's this gentle facilitation. And
Hmm.
also, yeah, we've got the world, the flesh, the enemy, ourselves, and
Hmm.
even testing. Okay, as you're in that memory there, how does it feel to look at that person? How does it feel to think about, I'm stupid, I'm worthless, I'm no good, I'm alone? Just as that test,
Hmm.
because quite often people just go to, well, this is what I know the Bible says. And
Yeah. Or
and to
even
have,
like, this is what adult me thinks when I need to be
yes,
thinking about what kid me. Yeah, that's for me, that's the hard thing. Like,
right.
adult me is always trying to interject. So,
Right. Which is not totally useless. Like adult you has to know the left
yeah.
brain, it's coming into alignment with the truth that the adult you already knows. When your heart knows it, that alignment brings peace.
Hmm.
So it's
Hmm.
good. It's so good to have a brother or sister in Christ who's not trying to control a session, but trying to help you get to where Jesus wants to bring you freedom. It's so good.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And each session can be different, right? Every time
Hmm.
somebody engages in it, there are patterns that people have and there are tendencies that people have. Yeah. Have you noticed in different sessions that you've had, like, wow, I can't believe that I went that way, or anything unexpected that happened?
For me, it has a lot more to do with my headspace. Like, when I'm coming
Hmm.
in, how hectic or busy or rushed or whatever my day has been, or I think that has more to do with it than anything. I take that into consideration a lot. Like, what's going on in your day when you book this session? Like,
Hmm.
so
Hmm.
yeah, that's I think
Yeah.
the biggest thing for me.
Right. There's that felt need. And then we get
Hmm.
down to the real need. So tell me a little bit more about that third session that you had with Carol.
Yeah, I remember thinking, I think you automatically always want to go for like the big gun, right? Like,
Mm,
I think I spent the first two sessions with Carol trying to hash out like one of the big traumas in my life, and it happened,
mm,
in my 20s, so I wasn't even like a kid. And I think I had to kind of get past that, because what happened was is the memory that I landed on in that session was not anything that I brought, like I felt like I brought in. It was just this old
mm,
memory of me in junior high, getting made fun of for wearing a pair of cowboy boots. I had big feet, and they made my
mm,
feet look like boats. And I thought, well, this is dumb. I haven't thought about this in years. Like,
mm,
what is the point of this, right? And I
mm,
remember myself in the bathroom, like crying after being made fun of. I can like even see the walls and the stall that, like, you always have your own stall where you always like to try to go in the bathroom, right?
mm,
And I remember the stall and the walls and everything. It was wild to like be and feel so present in that memory, and just feeling so like icky about myself,
mm,
just because I don't know, like, and I think that's one of the harder things for me, is like pinpointing the lie and what I'm actually feeling. So having the guidance and somebody to kind of suggest things when you're feeling a little overwhelmed, by the memory is another really helpful thing of having the facilitator. But I just remember being so excited about those boots and then just getting shot down, and I never
mm,
wore them again. I never wore them again. And my parents were
mm,
so mad because they were not
mm,
cheap. I
mm,
think I probably wore them like out on the ranch or something. But I really internalized that. I felt like unlovable. I felt just unacceptable, like society wise. Like I had a really hard time in junior high as it was in middle school. But I didn't realize how much that memory had affected me. So just being able to kind of walk through that and like finding myself crying, like I don't even know why I'm crying right now. It was like I remember
Hmm.
thinking that it was like involuntary, just tears, just like, oh my gosh. And I just kind of started even thinking about like over the course of my life how I would never even like buy shoes that were my actual size. Sometimes if I wanted a pair of cute shoes, but I felt like they made my feet look too big, I would cram my feet into like a half a size too small shoe just so they would look a little smaller. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I never even realized like that I was doing it. I think I just always done it, you know, it's just it was kind of wild. And so I'm in that bathroom and I'm thinking of just crying to myself. And then, you know, when you invite Jesus in and he's there and he just him being there is often just enough for me. But he kind of looked at me and he told me to keep the boots and to wear the
Hmm.
boots. And that was just really freeing for me just to get like permission.
Hmm.
Permission, I think, just to be okay being who you are because he doesn't care. Um, so yeah, it was just a really simple and it just shifted a lot of things in me, and I haven't bought two small shoes since. So, yeah,
Yeah. So what I usually say is things like being made fun of are the arrows that get shot at us.
yeah,
But what really makes it hurt is how fragile our heart is. And if our heart
yeah,
is believes things like I'm unworthy, I'm
hmm
unlovable, I'm unacceptable, that's where the arrow really sinks in, and that's what really stings is that response. And it
hmm
and we I love that we have this perspective of when we invite Jesus to bring truth. Some people hear, some people see, some people sense, or a combination of those. And it would be
hmm
so easy. And sometimes this happens and it's totally powerful. It's totally Jesus. If somebody says, Lord, I'm unlovable, and he says, no, that's not true, that can absolutely be Jesus. But it can also
hmm
be almost this unspoken thing. I sense Jesus there. He's saying, wear the boots. It's okay.
yeah,
I'm okay. I'm acceptable. I'm unlovable.
hmm
It doesn't even land anymore. And it solidifies that part in your heart. And so when more
hmm
arrows get shot, they don't go as deep. So it's, yeah.
yeah. Well, and it was even like it was like I mean, it was a really powerful moment too. But even like I'm even just thinking about it now and just kind of the trickle down of like it just waking up to parts of you that are asleep. You know, is kind of what it felt like.
Hmm.
And
For
yeah,
sure. Well, yeah,
yeah.
it's funny because your story just triggered this thought. I remember, uh, I think it was my summer from seventh to eighth grade. I grew 6 inches in a summer. And I remember going to get shoes, and it was the same shoe store that my mom went to when she was a little kid. She grew up, so it's like she knew everybody. And my shoes, I was wearing in seventh grade, I was wearing 10 and a halves. And I was
Mm.
a little bit of a jock. And I'm like, man, I think I need new shoes. They're really tight. I can honestly say I have never had size 11 shoes. I've never even had size 12 shoes. The guy at the store is like, you're past a 12. We need to get you in a 13. I went from 10 and a halves to 13s in one day.
Wow. Wow. That's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah, yeah. So just interesting. Like with girls, I could see, the bigger feet, why they would make fun. And guys, it's like
Yeah.
you're going to be a monster, man. And when you grow 6 inches as a guy in a summer, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is cool for a guy.
Right.
I was like
Exactly.
5'5" and a size 9.5.
Yeah.
Shoo. I might not even been 5'5" yet at the time.
Yeah. Yeah. It was bizarre. Like there was one guy who was at least 3 inches taller than me when we left seventh grade and walked into eighth grade, and I'm 3 inches taller than him.
Yeah,
Like
oh my gosh,
it
yeah.
just, your world just, yeah, it's a little bit different. So, and I haven't grown
Yeah.
since. So since eighth grade, I maybe grew
Oh
half.
wow.
But yeah. So yeah, I missed the NBA by about a foot. That's how I say it. So, so actually circling back to belief
hmm
and those beliefs of unacceptable or unlovable or however you would put
hmm
those, how do you think that showed up in your life? How did you try to manage that, or what
Mm.
what impact had those beliefs had in your life?
Well, it definitely had an impact on how I chose men in my life. Like
Hmm.
I know
Okay.
like in particular with how I would act and behave and stuff with guys, um, growing up and stuff. And
Mm,
I'm blessed to have been married and with the same guy since I was like 17 years old now. But it
mm.
definitely had an impact on just, yeah, being self-conscious, I guess, in front of like somebody if I like felt the need to try to impress people or something. There's just very aware of my flaws, I guess, if you will.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah. What a normal story. And so I know
yeah.
you said that this has impacted your daughter, but I just want to back up a second. It's
Oh, yeah.
so easy for people to look at our ministry and go, these bad things happened. And so now I'm going to go get healing. And of course, that's why we do ministry. But as we look at, one of our taglines is immediate help, lasting hope, changing generations. And there are a lot of
Mm,
ministries out there for people who have gotten themselves into a mess. But part of
mm,
the a big part of changing generations, as Benjamin Franklin said, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And so, as
mm,
I think we've seen it in our kids and hopefully in their kids, as they keep perpetuating the love and truth of Jesus and how he heals us and grows us up and renews our mind and transforms our life, that it's going to prevent things in our kids' lives. They're not going to be looking for that boy or that girl to fill that need. They're not going to be looking for other things to try to manage their pain. The prevention side of it is such a huge part of it. Yeah, I'm a big
yeah.
believer in a lot of the things that a ministry here that with pregnancy information and caring for
Mm,
single moms and doing ultrasounds and all that. But wouldn't it be even better if those women weren't in those positions in the first place? So that's a
hmm.
huge part of my heart moving forward, that we need to talk more and more and more about prevention. So now
Yes.
that I've had my little spiel there, tell me about your daughter or anything else you want to share.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's funny. Yeah, no, it's good that you brought that up because my daughter is now the same age that I was when that memory actually happened. She is 11, almost 12,
Mm-hmm.
and she's in sixth grade, and she has had a heck of a time. Kids are so mean,
Mm-hmm.
and she was already the new kid,
Mm-hmm.
and just kind of trying to find her way and make her way
Mm-hmm.
um, through sixth grade is just hard in general. Um, but she kept getting made fun of for one of her favorite pair of shoes. It's just a little pair of ballet flats, and kids at school kept calling them her grandma's shoes, and she'd come home really upset, and she'd get mad. And there's a couple times I remember even throwing the shoes against the wall. I'm like, why are you making fun of my stupid shoes? And I had the opportunity to
Mm-hmm.
share that story with her and tell her about the story and tell her what Jesus told me. Um, and she received that story. And I'm not saying every day's been perfect since, but in that moment, she looked at me
Mm-hmm.
and she's like, "Mama, I'm gonna wear my shoes." And she did. She wore them the very next day, and I was so incredibly proud of her. I'd be lying if I said she hasn't worn them less and less, but they're still in her closet,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm really proud of her. Because I know that it's hard, and she just wants to avoid being a target and stuff. But it was still really, really healing for the both of us to be able to share that story. And I actually painted. I like to paint, and I painted a picture of it too, so I got to
Mm-hmm.
talk about that with her too. And so it was really good. And just even to see her, and I can see that in her, how she advocates for herself and speaks up for herself. And um, we're actually switching her schools because she was having such a rough time with some of the kids there, and the school was unfortunately not very helpful, and it's not the greatest school in the area,
Mm-hmm.
we found out. But just to have her just speak up and be open to even talk about these things with us is huge. So, yeah,
Yeah,
crazy.
that's priceless, and that you're helping her
Hmm.
identify those giants, right? I go back to David and
Yeah,
Goliath, that David chose to take up the slingshot and move
yeah.
forward in that, and that she's going to put those shoes on, which represent way more than
Hmm.
shoes.
Yes.
And so for her to have that mindset of moving forward and not being a victim of
Yeah.
kids who aren't very kind.
we just gonna say one of the things that I also remember, like the one that I also really like drill into both of my kids when they get stuck in that stuff is like remember what's true, and that's like I am
Hmm.
known, I am loved, and I am chosen. That is true. Like what is true? Like you're
Hmm.
speaking lies. Like what is true? And I think just really drilling
Right.
that identity in Christ is just huge and part of all that, and keeping them taking down those Goliaths. Right? You have to know
Yep.
that you are the Lord's anointed one. You know.
Hmm.
So
Right. And
yeah.
continuing to speak truth in them, and that wherever that penetrates their heart, that's going
Yeah.
to make that huge difference. And as you continue to walk alongside them and they choose to open up to you and maybe even share some of their failures,
Hmm.
that your love is still consistent for them and they can continue to walk this thing out with courage. It's huge
Hmm.
because it's so easy
Hmm.
for us to run from uncomfortable emotions. I don't
Oh,
feel
it
good
is,
there.
isn't it?
Okay, so let's just avoid it. We want to just make it clear if anybody wants to step into the process that uh, there was a book written by Dr. Smith that it was called Effortless Forgiveness, and it's a very intriguing title, but
Hmm.
it's it is possible to get to that place of effortless forgiveness, but I want to be careful not to do a bait and switch on people because to get to a
Hmm.
point of effortless forgiveness takes a heck of a lot of work. Takes a heck of a lot
Hmm.
of stepping into things. It's like for some people, if somebody runs 7, 8, 9, 10, 12 miles a day and they continue to put that work in and then they do a 5K, that's for them, it's effortless to do oh yeah, I did a
Hmm.
5K. Yeah. I don't even know if I was awake. And then there's other people who are like, I had to stop 12 times to do that 5K. Because they, for what, I'm just generalizing, but the
No,
more
that's a good
work you do
analogy.
on, yeah, the more work you do on the front end,
Hmm.
then the more effortless it becomes on the back end. So, because
Hmm.
it's easy just to go, oh, effortless forgiveness. Oh, how can I press the easy button to forgive? How can I press the easy
Yeah.
button not to have panic attacks anymore? How can I press the easy button not to struggle with addiction? Well, you got to do the work up
Yeah. Well,
front.
that's just right. Well, and I mean, and that sucks that I mean, and that means you have to go through hard stuff to get there. I always think about
Right.
that verse from, I don't remember the address of hardly any Bible verses. I'm so bad, but it's like Paul, he's talking about you have to need the comfort to get the comfort to then give the comfort, right?
Hmm.
So
Right.
I mean, yeah, it's all about going through hard stuff to then be able to pour into other people. And that's always helped me. Like, how can I use the junk to
Hmm.
then make it easier on somebody else or
Right.
help somebody else? So,
Right.
yeah.
Hey, if we could, there was another memory. I think we're just going to unpack one more memory, if it's okay with you. I think it was
Yeah.
the one in the childhood closet. Do you want to share what was going on there?
Yeah, it was weird because I wasn't even trying to go down the melt path in my prayer time that
Mm,
day.
mm,
And all of a sudden, I could just see myself hiding in my childhood closet. And it was always kind of like my safe place. My dad was a very angry man and needed a lot of yelling. He was a good man, but he an angry man, and so when he was yelling and raging, it's just make yourself invisible, right? There were
mm,
a lot of times when it didn't feel safe in
mm,
home. So I remember hiding in that closet a lot. It was a big closet, and I was snuggling this orange stuffed animal that I still don't remember having, but I have this like memory of this picture of it. I'm like, oh my gosh, I wonder what stuffed animal that was. So I'm in there and I'm like feel like I felt safe in there. Um,
mm,
I'm not even sure like I kind of remember feeling like I wasn't even safe in my own body in that time.
mm,
It was just
mm,
strange, like to like close myself off. And I think I even still sometimes find myself where I kind of do that. Like I still like to go into tiny, like my car, to
mm,
hide. But then Jesus was there in that closet with me, and he was trying to coax me out. And come on, let's get out of here. And I was like, I don't want to go. I feel safe. And he told me, he's like, I'm gonna go with you. And I said,
mm,
okay. And there was just something about his presence in that moment where I'm like, I can do that. I can leave. Um, I don't know. It's weird because I didn't, like I said, I wasn't even trying to go there. I had places that I didn't
mhm,
even realize that I was hurting. And when he said, I'll go with you, it just really touched on just the fears of like just kind of opening myself up, venturing out into a space that maybe wasn't safe or maybe was a little unknown. Um, and the closet door opened. I'm trying to remember here. The closet door opened and it was at a park. And it wasn't like a park that I'd ever even seen before. It was
mm,
like it was just a simple little park, but it was completely foreign to me. It wasn't like even a memory of a park. So that's how
Mm,
I knew that was the memory. It's like it's definitely from the Lord. And Jesus told me that that
mm.
was his park. And I could hear kids playing, but there were no kids. There was nobody there. It was just kind of surreal. And I remember a big red slide, and I wanted to go on that. And
Mm.
all of a sudden, it was just like I was on the swing, and he was pushing me. And this is where like adult me tries to take over. I'm like, I hate the swings. They make me sick. Like, I don't want to swing. And Jesus just it was then standing next to adult me. He just kind of puts his hand on my shoulder, and he tells me, "Shh, I want to teach you how to play again." And I just, whew, that was hard. That was just, it really unlocked like stuff I didn't even know that I needed to unlock.
Yeah.
Yeah, just to even like teach you how to play again. And it was just kind of
Mm.
undid me. And I remember looking over and seeing that orange stuffed animal just laying off to the side, completely forgotten. Maybe kind of like I even like let go of like a comfort thing in favor of Jesus. Kind of feels like maybe that's what happened there. And I remember going and picking up that stuffed animal and then Jesus just wrapping his arms
Mm.
around me, adult me in that moment. And I'm still swinging in the background. It was just kind of it was a very special memory that I had there. And I don't really know if I even
Mm.
realize everything that's unlocked yet. I feel like I'm still kind of processing that because even just kind of the realization as I was talking through that here, just feeling like I kind of let go of a piece of security, like false security, I think
Mm.
maybe is something that was happening there. But and then I remember just like a couple days after that, going to the park with my kid and just having this experience playing with him and not checking the time and not wondering how many more kicks I would have to kick before I got to go home to start dinner. I felt just a little bit of a freedom with him to just play. And it was really cool just to kick the ball around with him and just realizing that freedom can come in unexpected places. And I think that's just a good reminder for everybody to remember to play.
I think what's
So,
been amazing to hear over the years, and you didn't use these exact words, but it's what you're saying is where I'm going. With people's testimonies, it's not just I was able to do this, or I fought through this, or I did that. It's I find myself
mm,
different. My heart is in a different place. I find myself in a different place. He must have
hmm
done something in my heart to shift something. And going back to that
hmm
closet, what we talk about quite often on the podcast is the idea of trauma and PTSD is in the vernacular now and the post-traumatic stress. I think everybody at some level experiences that. And the way that we define that simply is what once was true is no longer true, even though it feels true. So it
hmm
didn't feel safe as a little girl because it wasn't safe. When there's a lot of yelling, of
hmm
course, it doesn't feel safe. You weren't safe in that place. But as you grow, there's that part in your heart because of what you've come to believe is that it isn't safe. And the more that we allow
hmm
Jesus to win us over, because he's never coercive, right? He wins
hmm
us over, he persuades us of the truth and coming out of that place and being able to be with him and that part of our
hmm
imagination gets sanctified more and more. It gets cleared out. It gets made
hmm
holy. It's cleared out. And I find it playing out in my role as a mom. It's
hmm
so powerful.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and it is sometimes just subtle little shifts and like even just to be able to like reflect back and I don't know, it is weird. Like, yeah, it's so strange to me, and it's almost it's caused me frustration sometimes over the years because I've watched so many people in my life and around me have these like earth-shattering, explosive awakening moments with God, and I feel like all mine have
Mm.
been little steps and like little steps and little steps. Like I don't have one moment when I know I gave
Mm-hmm.
my life to Christ. I remember going to church to First Free and Shane was like, altar call, altar call, altar call. And I was the weenie in the back, never raising my hand. And then like a year later, when he made another altar call after not making one for a while, it had been about a year later when he made the altar call. And I'm like, oh, I don't even need to raise my hand anymore because somewhere along the line,
Mm.
I'd given my life to the Lord, and I realized that I'd made all these little changes, even in the groups of people that I hung out with, and in the TV shows that I watched, and the books that I read. And I'm like, oh, I don't need to do that anymore. Somewhere along the line, I already did. So I don't know. It's just how he'll baby step
Nice.
like that. So I think about that every time I do get a memory and it feels powerful. I'm okay with not knowing exactly what changed because I know that I'll see it
Mm.
eventually. So,
Right. Yeah, there's so much hope in that.
yes,
Yeah, there's more that's going to come out of this. I can't wait to see how this manifests itself. So circling back to becoming more alive in Christ, you're experiencing
yes,
that, and just we want to encourage people to step in, but also to continue in the process and and
yes,
and watch some of the YouTube videos and listen to more of the podcasts and get engaged and yeah, be a part of what we believe God is doing. We believe this is a beautiful movement of God. That we're just so blessed.
yes.
One of Carol's favorite phrases is, "I've got the best job." And I know that when she listens to this, I bet for Carol, as she's before she even gets to this point, listening to your story, she's like, I have the best job. So we're just
No, I love
affirming
her.
that.
I miss
Yeah.
her.
Yeah. So
I might book a session with her just to say hi.
yeah, there you go. All right. Well, yeah, thank you for trusting us. Thank you for trusting us by stepping in and trusting us by doing a testimony on this podcast. And I'm so grateful. I thoroughly enjoyed our time here today.
Thank you. It's my pleasure, Steve. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Cross Counsel podcast. We invite you to visit crosscounsel.com to learn more about genuine healing and becoming a more useful instrument in God's kingdom purposes. Be sure to like, subscribe, rate, and share this podcast. It helps others discover the same potential for hope and healing found only in Jesus. Again, thank you for listening. Welcome to the Cross Counsel podcast. We believe every person is created in the image of God, something we can never lose. Yet, over time, our likeness to Christ has been diminished and is in need of restoration. Each episode offers information that invites you toward transformation, leading to formation in Christ. But lasting change happens when you personally engage with our ministry and experience the melt process, where God renews the mind, heals the heart, and restores hope. Together, though none of us has arrived, we're discovering what it means to be fully alive in Him, immediate help, lasting hope, and changing generations.